Hi, everybody. I am Kelly's dad. And as I stand up here, I'm just going to make my way over to my toddy, if you don't mind, over here in the corner. Just make sure it's still there. As I stand here, it's with a real sense of deja vu. It almost feels like I just did this. And I guess the reason is I just did this. As some of you may know, we had another wedding just 8 weeks ago. And I think the only person in America that's probably had a worse financial summer than I have is Ryan Lochte. Hopefully I'll manage to stay a little more sober than he did. Good point. I got to admit, I'm a little more nervous to give this talk than I was in Chicago. You see, Cleveland really hasn't been the greatest place lately for people that have to give a speech. You just ask Ted Cruz or Melania Trump. Even the sainted LeBron caught a lot of flack when, after the victory parade, he used language that people thought was a little too earthy, maybe. But I'm counting on the fact that I think this crowd has had just the right amount of alcohol, and you're going to be a little bit more forgiving than those people were. And as an added precaution, I have edited out any apocalyptic visions, offensive language, or any direct quotes from Michelle Obama. So I'm hoping that we're going to be okay. So welcome to Cleveland, everybody. We're glad you're here. It occurred to me that some of you may be here in our fair city for the first time. And it may be hard for you to believe that Cleveland has not always been this Paris of the North Coast that it is now. It just seems like not that long ago we were kind of the butt of some jokes and kind of hurt our feelings, really, if you want to know the truth. And I'm not saying that mistakes weren't made. I mean, this river did catch on fire, and we did spend a lot of money on Johnny Manziel jerseys, but all that is in our rearview mirror now. World champions. That doesn't get old. It's kind of good to get one like every half century or so. It kind of keeps us focused and doesn't give us a swelled head. Well, I got a few people that I would say that those of us that are from Cleveland are proud of the city and the comeback that it's made, and we're delighted that Kelly and Pat picked a venue like this that kind of shows us off to our best advantage. So hopefully you're enjoying yourself in your visit to Cleveland. There's some people I have to thank. I have to start with John and Diane. I mean, fabulous last night, both the rehearsal dinner and the party afterwards. And I also want to thank them for their generous contribution to today's facilities. I mean, if they hadn't done that, I might be behind Ryan Lochte. So I want to thank them. I also want to thank Father Don and everybody that participated in the ceremony today. The readings were great. Nick and Ken, those petitions just rolled off your tongue like they were coming from St. Paul himself. So I thought that it was an excellent job. Anybody that was involved in the readings did a great job. Unfortunately, Owen and Henry are not here to accept their award tonight. My expectations were low, and they kind of came through. Although I got to give Henry credit, or Owen credit. He did make it down the aisle, or so I'm told. So Henry kind of took an offer, but fortunately for us, I think their days of being ring bearers are mercifully coming to a close. Well, let me just say a few words about Kelly and Pat. When you're the father of marriageable-age children, you do worry a little bit about who they may end up with. Obviously, you want someone that loves and respects them. But you also want someone that you think is going to fit into the family. Because, I mean, that can be an important ingredient going down the road. And so over the years, since I've had 3 daughters and they're kind of spaced out, I've been able to develop kind of a scorecard, if you will, almost a test, where you can rate someone and kind of get a feel for whether they're going to be a good, fit for the family or not. Kind of a compatibility quotient, if you will. I don't know if I got it from work or I might have seen it on Dr. Phil, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It exists, it's there. So when it looked like Pat was going to be around for the long haul, I thought, it's probably time that I grade Pat against this test. So I started out and I said, roots for the Cavs, check. Roots for the Tribe, check. Roots for the Browns. Ooh, that's been tough. Going down to the Factory of Sadness week after week in the fall, double check. Likes wine with dinner. Well, that's not tough, but it's important. Double check for that. Well, I had already given him 50 double checks for having the last name of Corrigan, so there didn't seem to be any point in continuing the test after that. He had already passed, and he was within 2 checks of getting the highest score ever given, so. I'll get it for that from the other 2. What do you mean? What about Nick and Ken? So there obviously is some scientific validity to my test, because Pat is fit into our family like he was born there, and Maureen and I and the entire family couldn't be happier to have him be part of the family. And I would say that Pat is probably worthy of the highest compliment that I could ever give anybody, I think. And I said this to Maureen early on, and when they were together, I said, I've never seen a young man that is more attentive to his grandmothers than this one is. And in my view, that's about as good as you can get. And we wish all the grandparents that were mentioned in the petitions tonight could have been with us. But we're delighted that Grandma Corrigan could be here. If you haven't had a chance to meet Grandma Corrigan yet, you're in for a treat. She's a lot of fun. And the one sad note, and Diane spoke eloquently about it last night at the rehearsal dinner, is that Pat's grandma Gata passed away a couple of months ago, and from everything I've heard, she was a wonderful woman, and she would have had a great time here. So we're a little saddened by the fact that she couldn't be here. But as Diane said last night, she is with us, and she's looking from a better place. So we're thrilled that to have at least her in spirit. Let me say a few words about Kelly, if I could. As most of you may be aware, if you're not, you're about to be aware, I spent my career in sales, mostly selling products that nobody wanted. First of all, toilet paper that had wood chips still in it, and later on, candy that we had to call Chocolati because it really wasn't milk chocolate. It was just kind of a brown wax. So, despite that, surprisingly, there were a few successes, or not many the second time around. That was always pretty hard. But without question, the greatest sale I ever made in my life was back in about 1986, when I convinced Maureen that you're not really old, you're just experienced. If we expand this family, you'll be a big help to the other mothers the younger mothers in the play group. So fortunately, she bought it, and not long after that, Kelly was born. And Kelly has been a delight to raise. She's been a wonderful daughter. She's kind, she's thoughtful, she's good at math, she's well organized, she's bad at directions. And all of these and some even more obvious traits she takes from her mother. But she also can be very funny, even sarcastically so. And through some kind of weird osmosis, she seems to have inherited that from her Uncle Gus. I'm not exactly sure how that went down, but it seems to be the case. When she was a child, maybe 4 or 5, we used to have this kind of nightly routine. And I will say that Kelly's had a lot of nicknames, I think, which is going to be covered in another speech. But to me, she's always been Buddy, because she's always been my little buddy. And heck, she was my idea. So we would go through this routine when she would go to bed at night, and I'd hear, Buddy, Buddy, and I'd say, hey, go to bed, go to bed. You're up in bed. And she'd say, can I have some water, please? I'd say, no, you're in bed. Go to sleep. And in that great parenting tradition of saying one thing and doing something else, I would go up and get her the water. And many nights then I would go in and kiss her, and I'd think, oh boy, she just wanted to see her dad one last time before she went to bed. But then I would think, no, I think she really just wanted the water. And I think back to those days, and I think how great it would be to even be able to relive just one of those days. But then I think, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be, because she has met the man that she's destined to spend the rest of her life with, and we couldn't be happier. So if you would join me, I'm going to go find that toddy, that elusive toddy, and I'd like to raise a toast to the pride of the Westlake Demons. I always go for the cheap cheer. And the girl who always has been and always will be my little buddy.
Wow, we have to follow that one up. Well, once again, we would just like to welcome everyone. We are so excited that all of you are here on this beautiful day to celebrate the marriage of two people that I love very much. My beautiful sister, Kelly, and my new brother-in-law, Pat. For those of you who don't know me, I am Kelly's oldest sister, Bridget, the matron of honor.
And I am Kelly's other sister, Molly. I'm pretty sure she had me pegged for the maid of honor role, but I kind of screwed that up by getting married 2 months ago, so sorry about that. I'm the other matron of honor. Sorry, I also kind of choked on my toddy there. My dad's really funny. Everyone kept telling me that at our wedding, and I was like in this out-of-body experience and don't really remember anything, but I'm really excited to watch that video now because he's hilarious. Anyways, I have kind of mixed feelings on public speaking, so I'm a little bit nervous, but I usually feel better with a couple toddies in me, so I'm super pumped to talk about this amazing couple sitting right here.
Growing up with Kelly, things were never dull. I was about 8 and a half when Kelly was born, and having already had practice with my sister Molly, I was ready to take on the role of mother's helper and was there to assist with diaper changes and bottle feedings, you name it. The games were endless. I'm pretty sure that Kelly learned how to play sports from about the time she could walk, as she loved nothing more than keeping up with her two bigger sisters and taking part in any baseball or kickball games that we were organizing in the neighborhood. Where are the drabs? You guys remember those? Kelly also learned how to be flexible at an early age, as Molly and I would always get the American Girl dolls that we wanted, or the Wheel of Fortune or Guts color of the contestant that we were backing. And Kelly basically got whatever was left over.
All right, let's not all feel sorry for Kelly. She looks so innocent, but she's a sneaky ginge. She also learned from mine and Bridget's mistakes and learned what she could and couldn't get away with. So I'm just going to tell a quick little story about when Kelly was little. She actually, a lot of you probably don't know this, but Kelly grew up with an iron deficiency. So it was really serious and could only be cured by Flintstone vitamins. So my mom would give us our vitamins every day, and Bridget and I would chew and swallow and then go like pick out the best Barbie to play with, but not Kelly. The mystery, oh, I'm sorry, I messed up. I knew I was going to. Kelly is sneaky, and she didn't eat the vitamins. So you would imagine my mom's surprise when she brought her into Dr. Gerlach and said, you know, how's everything going? And he said, the iron deficiency is not getting any better. And he was like, oh, well, I don't know why. My mom's like, Dr. Gerlach, I've been giving her those vitamins every day. How's it not getting any better? And the mystery was not solved until months later when Stanley's steamer came to our house. It was no thanks to Larry and the Tattooed Ladies, but all it took was one carpet cleaner to move a bookshelf in Kelly's room to discover just a mound of Flintstone vitamins. She had just been chucking them back there for months, years, I don't know. But from there, the drug stashes were discovered all over the house, like little tykes, cash registers, baby doll cribs, you name it. And that was all before Kelly was in kindergarten.
As I mentioned, I was 8.5 when Kelly was born, so she was going into the 4th grade when I went away to college. And at the time, those years made a big difference. And it was really when Kelly went away to college that we definitely started to grow closer. I made it a point to visit her down at Miami University every fall and spring semester. And I really enjoyed getting to meet all of the wonderful friends that she's made. There you guys are. Love you ladies. And really just get to be the cool big sister that she could be proud of. Because I couldn't be more proud of the fantastic, beautiful, and accomplished woman that she has become. Now she's one of my best friends who I know I can always count on and will always be there for me when I need her.
Kelly and I were also 4 years apart in school, so we were never in like high school or college together. But she followed in a lot of family member footsteps by attending Miami University. I know we've got some Red Hawks here. Right? Caw, never heard that one before. Caw. And also followed in my footsteps by joining Pi-Phi and living in the greatest house of all time. Many of you here know what I'm talking about. Let's give it up for the poorhouse. Yes. But Kelly and I also have grown closer as we've gotten older. And just last year, we decided to take a trip to Europe together. And I will look back on that trip with nothing but like fantastic memories, but it really was a trip that had it all. There was the good, the bad, and the ugly. There was the good, like selfies at the Eiffel Tower, biking through Barcelona. We ate a ton of baguettes and croissants and all that good stuff. And then there was the bad, the seriously bad. We were mugged. It's all okay, we have a really feisty 80-year-old Spanish woman to thank for that. We were pretty sure that it was just like a weird domestic dispute between an old lady and a kid on a bike, but it turned out the kid had my purse, and the grandma was like yelling at us to try to get our attention. And then there was the ugly. We drank way too much wine on the airplane, and then took the drowsy cough syrup, and It was really bad. We were shushed multiple times, and I don't think either of us remembered the first 12 hours of Paris because we were so out of it. But it was a fantastic trip. Kelly was the best travel buddy, and I know we're both going to look back on that trip with nothing but smiles and laughs.
I've never seen Kelly happier than since she's met Pat. What can I say about Pat? Well, I think I've loved him from the moment that I met him. When Kelly first brought Pat home to meet our family, what I noticed right away was the connection he had with my oldest son, Spencer. The two of them have been like two peas in a pod over the last several years, and I couldn't have asked for a better role model or mentor for my son than Pat. He's also been a part of our family since my other two sons have been born, and since then has never missed a birthday party or a christening. And watching their little faces light up when Uncle Pat comes to visit is really something special. I love his passion for Cleveland sports, even though we may not always agree. Football. But mostly I love that I can talk to him about almost anything, totally be myself, and to me, he feels like the younger brother that I never had growing up. And so I couldn't be more happy to be officially welcoming him to the Fitzpatrick family today. Yeah.
So I remember when Kelly first started dating Pat, and she called me. She was super excited, and so I asked her to tell me about this guy. And she said, "Molly, he's so nice." And anyone that knew me in my early 20s, nice was pretty much like the kiss of death. So I was like, come on, there's got to be something else. And she's like, no, he's so nice. And I have to agree with Kelly. After getting to know Pat over these years, there's so many other adjectives to describe him. He's thoughtful, he's smart, he's funny, he's kind, he's patient, he's an amazing dishwasher. But really, he is just so nice. Or as Pat would say, nice, nice. And Pat, you've made me realize that being described as nice is actually quite wonderful. And I'm so happy my sister has found herself such a nice guy.
And I would be remiss if I didn't add something for my son Spencer. You demand, Pat. It seemed predestined that Kelly and Pat would meet and fall in love at some point, right? I mean, they both are from the Cleveland area. They both went to Miami University. They have similar friends in common. So it really just seems like a match made in heaven. But what I have seen over the last several years is the love and commitment that they have for one another continue to deepen. They're best friends first, and in my humble 5-year experience, that has been the key to success. There's not a doubt in my mind that the life they are starting together today will be filled with so much happiness and so much love.
Kelly, you're our baby sister. We've always been protective of you and wanted nothing but the best. But seeing you and Pat together, how much you love him and how he adores the G, I know that we have nothing to worry about. Kelly, you've been called a lot of things over the years. You've been Buddy, as we all learned tonight. You've been Ginger, G, Wolfie, Wolf Dog, Doggerstein, Doggy. The nicknames go on and on. And actually, I think you racked up a new one today with the initials KFC. But today, you are Mrs. Kelly Corrigan, and you've never looked happier or more beautiful. Pat, you felt like a brother for a long time, and we're so happy to have you as part of the family. So I'd like everyone to join me in raising a glass to the most beautiful couple inside and out. Cheers.
Congratulations to Pat and Kelly. I would like to start by thanking the Fitzpatricks and the Corrigans for putting together this wonderful evening and weekend. It is great to be here to celebrate with all his friends and family. As you noted, my name is Dan McCallum, and along with Brendan, I'm privileged to be one of Pat's co-best men tonight. In addition to a last name that was sufficiently Gaelic for the wedding program, I've had the privilege of being Pat's friend for over 20 years. But I'm not alone in that respect. As Brad noted last night, Pat has amassed and kept friends from every stage of his life, often along with those friends, parents, and grandparents, including my own, here today. So Pat and I go way back. It began in Indian Guides at around age 6, when Pat could rattle off the entire Indian starting rotation. Then on to our glory days of CYO basketball with our good friend Matt here, and then our slightly less glorious days of high school sports. The good times continued to roll down in Oxford and college, and there were certainly some good times, albeit in substandard living conditions. We lived in a house that was more or less a scene from Animal House. I think we were on double secret probation the day we moved in. Along the way, I've gotten to know Pat pretty well. Pat is a very genuine person, and he's also extremely quick. He also knows this, and the combination can be disarming to the unsuspecting. This might have been how Pat was able to sweet talk our homecoming date's parents one year, right before we took them to a lovely dinner in the Wendy's parking lot. Fortunately, though, Pat's charm seems to have met its match. I don't recall the precise setting when I first met Kelly, but I can accurately guess. There were a lot of our friends, and a few drinks were involved. But far from being overwhelmed, I could see that Kelly was at ease with the group of guys, and Pat in particular. In the time since I've known Kelly, my impressions have only been confirmed as just what a wonderful, great, warm person she is. And I've also learned that she can hold her own and then some when it comes to Pat's wit. It's not surprising, then, that she and Pat make such a great couple, both for each other and for everyone who's lucky enough to spend any time with them. So let's raise a toast to Pat and Kelly. Cheers.
With my job, I often have to talk in front of crowds, but after all those great speeches, starting with Mr. Fitzpatrick, Kelly's sisters, and now Dan, I should have gone last. This is not good. But first off, I just want to thank the Fitzpatricks. This wedding is absolutely beautiful. All your hard work and efforts. Thank you so much for everything you have done. And then I would also like to thank my parents. Without you here, Patrick wouldn't be here, Kelly wouldn't be here. So, thank you very much. So first off, I would just like to say congratulations to Patrick and Kelly. And yes, I do call him Patrick. My mom gave us all names that she thought couldn't be shortened. So I am Brendan, that's my sister Colleen, and then somehow in the middle with Patrick, she forgot it could get shortened to Pat. So we all call him Patrick. You might hear my sister call him Pork, but he's Patrick to us. So I'm so happy to see my big brother so happy. It really, touches my heart. It makes me really happy. And then Kelly, I'm so glad. I'm a little biased, but you did fine. One of the greatest guys out there. So congratulations. So everyone kind of stole my words about how wonderful Patrick is. He is very kind, outgoing, very social. All of his friends here. I'm sure I've heard 1,000,001 stories about all of you, but I'm so sorry. I have a trouble with names and faces. So all the nicknames. If you just tell me your name, I can rattle off stories about you. But thank you for being here. So my brother and I, we do have a lot of similarities. We both love Ohio sports, especially Cleveland sports. After the Cavs won the championship, we went down to the parade together and got to enjoy that. My brother got tickets to the wild card Indians game. And unfortunately, he had a work trip that he had to go out of town. So Rick, my brother-in-law, and I lucked out, and we got to go to the game. We also like to go out to eat. This past year for my birthday, I had a crazy work schedule, and we actually rescheduled, canceled. And then last minute, we rescheduled, and my brother went out for my birthday just a month ago. I kept mentioning I really wanted to go to Ohio City Ice Cream, just down the street from my brother's house, and we finally went there. But one thing you may not know, where we differ, is our idea of adventure. So my brother, he likes the beach, likes to be warm. He likes a cold beverage in his hands. He loves to play golf, and he really likes seafood as well. I, on the other hand, I like to go exploring. I like to visit new cultures. I really like mango smoothies. I prefer soccer over golf, and I really like to try local cuisine. So my brother, he really dipped out of his adventures, and he joined me on one of my biggest adventures when I was in the Peace Corps. Him and my mom. Oof. Sorry. I'll just step away, and I'll be better to talk. So, I don't know why. I'm actually a lot better right now. So him and my mom joined me on one of my biggest adventures. I was in the Peace Corps right after I graduated from college, and my brother and my mom joined me in Benin, West Africa. So let me get my list so I don't forget anything. Thank you. So my brother really reached out. He got to experience a taxi ride for the first time. It's nothing like Uber here in America. A taxi ride in Benin, a normal 5-person car becomes about 8 people in a car, and that doesn't include the small children or babies that you might get passed along to sit on your lap. It's very squished. It's also a different language. This was my first time my brother traveled over the Atlantic Ocean, so this was new, the French language. He didn't know any French, so he had to rely on me. But one fun thing that I had them do is I had them come to a class. It was a bunch of high school students, and it was an English class. And I've asked my brother many times about what he does for a living. And I kind of get it, but really I have no idea what he does. It makes no sense to me. So a check just comes in the mail? Why? So I reminded my brother, I'm like, English is their second language. They're just learning it. You gotta, really simple, really simple. So my brother goes up. He starts talking about what he does. He mentions the stock market, stocks, and I'm like, oh, no. They understood nothing he was saying. So I was like, he does finance. And they're like, oh. So it was a little lesson that he learned. He got to try new foods. He got to try seafood over in Benin. A delicacy of seafood in Benin is actually the head of the fish. And since we were guests, they gave him the head of the fish, so he got to try that. We did get to visit a beach, so that was good. We enjoyed a cold beverage on the beach. But the best part for me with my brother visiting was that he got to meet all my friends and my neighbors. It's a tradition in Benin and the Beninese people how important a grand frère is, or a fofovi in the local language, a big brother. Everyone talks about their big brother and how important their big brother is and how much they look up to their big brother. I met so many people, and the first person they would tell me about is their big brother. So I look up to my brother so much. He means the world to me, and I'm so happy that he found someone that means the world to him. So, Kelly, although we are thrilled that you're in our family, and I can't wait to see you even more, just know that Patrick will always be my big brother, and he has to take care of me. Thank you.
I've only known Patrick for 30 years. I got stories you're not going to believe. You thought this was going to be a prayer, you're going to be eating in 3 minutes? Put those forks down, okay? Just kidding. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, when we come to a day like today, the family and friends have an opportunity to truly rejoice like we're doing right now. We need somewhere to go to say thank you. And Lord, the place we go is to you, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. For it is you that bring us your love. The love that Kelly and Patrick share are the love that you gave them the day they were born. You gave it to them. You put them in beautiful, beautiful families with siblings, parents, and grandparents to guide them to this day. And they are now ready to begin their life together and keep the faith and the love and the peace going on and on. We thank you, Lord, for your love. Let us share it as they are going to share it the rest of their lives. We thank you for all the people that can be here today, and we ask you for safe travel back home for them in the next couple of days. We thank you for the people who prepared the meal we're about to enjoy. And we ask you all of these blessings, Lord, in your name, forever and ever. Amen.